chance to see what it's about. Yeah.
Shannon, would you come me here? And one of the things that we do is we line up with the person to the right of us, where they are. So you want to be just, yeah, exactly. And not ahead or behind, it's right there. And then we sit down, but with our uniform on.
Yeah,
And normally it's like we
yeah.
have a half an hour before we start class. I should have texted that.
Yeah, usually there's a half hour of the school's open and you can come in and get the mats out, get your uniform together, get warmed up, practice things, ask questions, check your notes, and that way, like, precisely at the start time, we bow. But we're not gonna really do a class now, we'll kind of intro stuff, try some things, see what the questions are. Darcy's been doing it for a long time, so she'll have.
Yeah, except I was trying to make sure and see if somebody else was going to be here because I have been absent for a while and I feel like I've lost a little bit of the connection. It is definitely a way of wiring your mind and body together. And so I'm this close to doing it, getting there, the feeling of, oh yeah.
Right, where it feels that.
Oh, but I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I feel stuck a little bit right now, which is typical too. It's the easiest thing in the world.
And we
It's
get
that
Dave
simple.
too. So, I think what I'll do is I'll start just, while Dave comes in, I'll start with showing you, the basic way that I see Aikido as differentiated from every other art. There are different ways of doing Aikido as well, and as you know, as a martial artist, frequently the better thing is the older thing, you know, like, well, I studied the original version of whatever that, therefore, of course, it's better and all the rest. And I think there's a lot of validity to that in a lot of cases, and yet the Aikido that I do is very late stage from the founder. And that's because it's a new martial art and it was being developed. So actually, the earlier stuff has much more of a taste of the arts that it came from, rather than what it was kind of heading towards. So I'll kind of introduce it in terms of relating to other stuff. Please come on in, I'm glad you made it. Fantastic. I remember you.
I remember you too.
Yep. So can I mark this? So if I were to punch Darcy, or any kind of grab, threat, or whatever it is, just in terms of regular martial arts, we might expect that she will just try and stop it. So she'll block or duck or something like that. So once she's blocked it and just hanging out there at the end, what do you suppose she does now in martial arts? She blocked me.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, anybody.
Kind of strange.
Right, she probably gives it to me, okay? So she does her move, whatever, and that's where we see the difference in the arts. Oh, she's a wrestler, she tackles me, she's a puncher, she punched me, she's a kicker, she pulls her weapon out, whatever it is. And so pretty much every martial art, when she attacks, I try not to get hit. So that's usually movement, blocking, some combination. It certainly can be more complicated, but generally speaking, that's the first thing I want to do. Once I've established that I'm not hit, however I do it, then it's my turn. And so I do my move, whatever, or my combination, whatever that is. So the thing that unites all these martial arts is that I don't want you to do what you do, so I say no, and then I show you how to do it. And I get my turn, vengeance. But we don't paint it, we don't dress it up to call it vengeance. We just say, it's your self-defense, and it's your duty, and it's only reasonable, and it's fair, and it's protective, and it's, but really, it's, you scared me, now I get to scare you, and I've trained, so it's gonna work, that kind of idea. And so Aikido starts in this really, thank you, really sophisticated way. And what that is I start with, she is me. Right? So that's my basic understanding. Not she's similar to me, we're both Americans, or we're both about this age, or we're both humans, or we're both in this room. And not I'm trying to be like her or she's very much like me. No. I start with she is me. So the strike comes, or whatever, the grab, the kick, the threat. And so, of course, I don't want to get hurt, so I move. And in every other martial art, what happens now is I do my thing. But in Aikido, I ask myself the question, what part of myself do I want to hurt?
None.
And since I can't think of an answer to that, there's no such thing as this that follows. Right? And so, because that's the basis of the art, that she is me, I still don't want to get hurt, but at no point am I trying to hurt anybody. So I actually just lead her to stasis, where we can have a nice long conversation about how the truth of the reality of the world is that we're the same, and she clearly wasn't seeing it. Not only did she see us as different, but she's mad at me, right? And so in this position, we can have a really nice long lecture and discussion and wait for the authorities and all the rest. Now, this may very much look, this may very much look to somebody like I'm getting out of the way and then vengeance. I send her flying, and certainly if you YouTube it, it'll look that way because that's the stuff that'll rise to the top. Like, that's exciting. You know, you threw somebody around in a really cool thing. But in my teaching of the art, my understanding of the art, there's no part of me that is different from her. So at no point am I teaching with the language of she's striking me. She's offering me energy. I'm receiving that energy, not by saying no, but by saying yes. And then I'm leading her to a place where there's no more threat. Whatever the particular technique looks like. So at no point in Aikido do I hit her back, do I kick, do I elbow, do any strikes at all. What I always do is try not to get hurt, generally moving, Tai Sabaki it's called, and then I say yes to this. So whatever her motion is, how about you, Shiro Katubajori? So other hand coming from around. So whatever she's doing here, I'm leading this energy around. There's no point of me saying no. It's just saying this is what she wants. You're welcome to have that. How about this? You're welcome to have that, and then leading her wherever it is that we're leading her. So I don't have any sense of block, stop, no. Everything she does, I say yes. Now she's doing this, I'm still going to say yes. I just want to be right here. I want to be over here. But I want that to continue where it's going. And then I can show her what becomes of that energy. And so I can send that out of the way to safety or into stasis. Okay, thanks. So when we kneel, left knee down, left knee goes down. Then the ball of the lead leg comes back. And then you're like so. And then you straighten the toes and settle. And you should have a little bit of space here, usually something like this. That way it's a little bit of a tripod where your feet are and your knees are, as opposed to here, a little bit more wildly. So in doing the seiza sitting, we want to make sure that we're not slumped and resting. I actually want to feel like I'm prepared at any moment to rise. But I'm not leaning and tight, but I'm very present here. Okay? Thank you. Questions from that? All right, so I'll show you how we start the class. You know, besides Darcy saying we line up with like a lot of students, schools, the highest ranking student starts there, and on and on. So we start with a bow to O-Sensei, who's the founder, Morehai Yeshiva. And a big part of the reason for the bow is that we want to recognize that we're getting to do this thing for maybe a little fun or interest in our leisure time, and we can't do that unless that guy had devoted his whole life to creating this thing. This thing didn't exist, right? And we know who created it. a lot of things that didn't exist at one point, but I don't know who created the wheel. I can't go around thanking that person. And so the idea here is just to recognize that this came about from somebody's effort to put their whole life's effort and being and energy into this. So we're gonna bow and we're gonna clap twice and then bow again. Good. So the clapping is kind of clearing the energy. You know, the Japanese will talk about spirits and stuff being scared away, the way the Chinese will use fireworks. So there's a bunch of interesting things. There's a whole bunch of different ways that clapping is done in Japan, whether it's in temple or in a business meeting at a deal ceiling or something. For us, if we just think of it as clearing things and then coordinating things. My teacher would say that he could hear how the class was going to go. We'd all bow, and he's facing away, and he can hear like, oh no, it's not going to be the most safe class. We're going to tone it down a little. People are not in sync. And then sometimes we'd all recognize it too, like, oh, we didn't really get that. But then by the end of the class, we're generally in sync. Right? So one of the general ideas in Aikido is that it's about coming into harmony with something, someone, somebody's energy. And if we look at this as a writ large idea, this is what happens in the society or the family unit and in the school, and certainly with between two partners, whether someday down the road those are not partners, it's somebody trying to hurt you. My role is still to come into some harmony with that. If I'm in harmony with you, you can't be harming me, because there's no other for you to face. When you look out from you, even if you're angry and have a knife and trying to steal something or whatever, there's no me, there's just us. And so my coming into that harmony is something that we want to do in the class all the time. And so the clap can kind of help us calibrate that or tune into it or remember that's the point. And then we bow to the teacher, to the students to the teacher, which is not unlike, you know, most martial arts. So we're going to take you through a little bit of the first meditation that we do every class. So the meditation is breathing in the nose, breathing out the mouth. I will clap, you won't, and the clap will signify the change of breath. So a clap will inhale through the nose. I'll clap when we exhale through the mouth. I'll clap again. And so we all kind of stay in a rhythm. And the idea is to bring the breath in through invitation, through the nose, into the lower center. Exhale from the heart end on, out the mouth. And then again, we all get coordinated. Starting with an inhale through the nose when I clap. Stretches and the routine that we would normally do in class, but I'm not going to do that. We'll get into trying it and seeing what the questions are. Good? Feel okay? All right, so you can stand up. Normally the class would stay there for the whole class until they're invited to do something. But that's one of the first bits of training, like, oh, I don't have the flexibility there that I would like.
25 years, I still can't deal with that.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
My knee went last year, I can't do it.
Yeah. It's in my knees, my feet. They put them one way, it's the bottom of my foot. Put them
Yeah.
the other way, it's the top of your foot.
It takes some practice to, people do improve by practicing it. But very often, it's a challenge for people, so they just sit a different way, and they don't get the practice. I want to I want to introduce one idea here, which is the way I've come to really think about this. There's a group of people that we are all unalike, and they're all around us. In fact, they're literally a phone call away, and we are occasionally like them in little discrete moments in our lives, but not regularly and not as a job, and that's a first responder. If I call, they come. If I call and I say, I'm pretty sure it's a nuclear bomb, they're still coming. If I called you and say, hey, could you help me move this? No, you actually go the other direction, right? And if I called you and I said, it's the craziest thing, but there's a couple lions loose in my yard, can you, no. First responders, we don't know anything about lions, but we're on our way, right? There's something weird happening, a sound, a smoke, a light, people, whatever, we're on our way. They don't say, well, we're going to come to the edge of your property, take a peek in, send a drone over, get a little information, send Fred in, he'll tell us if he comes back bloody. They just go, right? Certainly they're trained and equipped to deal with a lot of common things, and they're trained and equipped to learn to address categories of things. But honestly, if UFO landed and aliens came out, who knows what that means, but they pull up and they try and deal with it. So what a first responder does is, to the threat, is they always, this is important, enter unhesitatingly. Right? So I'm trying to enter. I don't sometimes enter, not this time. I don't always unhesitatingly do something. I go to where the problem is. Now, they also have to do it safely, right? So they don't run right into the front door of the building when the lintel's on fire. They figure out the best way in. So, of course, I'm not going to just, get punched in the throat this way. But I'm not going to be offline enter the way that we're used to seeing in martial arts. I'm going to find a way to enter in a way that I allow his state, his energy, his condition to continue. Once his state, his energy, his condition is continuing, then he's actually pretty easy to move around because he's in motion, right? So just like you have your car that's in neutral and it starts moving, it's pretty easy to steer. But as soon as that same car just gets to 0 miles an hour, steering wheel won't go. But if Dave's pushing the car, he's just pushing it 1.5 miles an hour, and you go, oh, the steering works. It's pretty easy once it's going. So what I don't want to do is stop him and then try and start him so I can do my cool thing. I want to enter and say yes, and then I lead him through his imbalance until I get him to a safe place. So even there, it wasn't like, now I throw him, I'm mad. I don't see it that way. I see somebody that's grossly misunderstanding the world, that we're different. Not only that, but he's angry, or avaricious, or whatever it is, and I want to lead him to safety. Right? So in Aikido, what's really important to recognize is that I am interested in my own safety, that's the same as any other martial arts, and I'm interested in his safety, which makes it a little different than most martial arts, and I'm as interested in his safety as mine. I'm not going to totally take care of myself, and then as soon as I know I'm safe, sure, I'll be a nice guy, I'll try and help him too. No, because that means there's me and there's him. I don't want anybody getting hurt, and I do that by entering and leading. And then we get into the cool stuff that looks like Aikido, like the ways that I lead him, the ways that I throw him, the locks and things like that. Thank you. So to me, that idea of the first responder is really, really, really important. And you'll see that the challenges to the Aikidoka are the little hesitation or the kind of offline entry because they're really just concerned with something, or they don't always enter. And I have to understand that, man, are you sure? So you've done martial arts for a long time. So we're gonna spar, right? And 3, 2, do anybody have any idea what he's gonna do? I don't know. I mean, you might, but is he gonna kick? Is it gonna be a fake round and then a back fit? Like, I mean, he's got all these, it could be anything. I don't know, right? Not only that, but where is it gonna go? It kind of, you know, it could be that the threat is here, it could have been this kick coming here, it could have been this fake, and then, I don't really know where that threat's coming from, right? So let's borrow the threat, whatever, just show me one threat. Good, so that's the threat. The only thing I know for sure is that his threats weren't coming here. There they are. And generally what will happen is he'll get unbalanced because he thought somebody was there, and they're not. And what I'm practicing doing is seeing things from his point of view. Man, you know what, from here I could see I was a jerk. I might have punched me. And then that leads him, and et cetera, et cetera. So the challenge is, how do I get there? Because there is, in fact, some threat somewhere. So as we saw, I can't walk into the throat punch. But I do have to recognize that if I'm here, it's the safest place in a fight. Because his energy is going out from him. But I still can't come into the vector of that energy and take the shot on my way there. But I have to recognize that it's not, in fact, safer here. It's safer if I can be where his threat is coming from and then lead him to stasis. Thank you, sir. Okay. So, left knee down. Right ball back. Then the toes straighten and settle. Okay. So usually what I'll do is I'll demo a move. And then I'll invite everybody up to, you know, pair up and practice. So let's try a move with you, Shannon. So often in Aikido, as you guys are familiar just from having seen it and being in the world, the techniques are done from a wrist grab. Which a lot of times as a martial artist, you can be like, well, yeah, but is somebody really going to be like, aha, you know? And then you're like, well, I do more realistic stuff. We start with a punch or something. And the wrist grab really just ensures that we have some unity so that my movements are reflected in your body. Ultimately, I may not need the wrist grab because the timing will be so just, you know, beautiful that you've all but grabbed me, right? So it's like the carrot right in front of the horse, and the horse just or the whatever it is, the rabbit and the greyhound. Like it doesn't really work if the rabbit goes 10 miles in front of the greyhound. The greyhound's like. And, you know, it doesn't really work if the greyhound catches the rabbit. And it doesn't work if the rabbit starts to outpace the greyhound. It can see, like, I ain't catching up. It only works if it's just a little bit. And so, ultimately, we should be able to do that. But largely, the practice is wrist grab stuff. You know, we do other stuff in it, too, but I just want to address that. So, let's try this. I'm going to have you... grab the wrist. Good. And you'll notice that when she grabs it, she took a step because she didn't want to lean forward and be, you know, falling, which is natural, totally reasonable. Now, if I do this, you might just back fist me, like, fine, you know, you have other tools. If I move this just a little bit, you overshoot. Now, I'll bet if we videoed you sparring somebody, there's almost no point we can pause it that we catch you here. Because you're more in control. You're like, block, try this, and try, oh, they got me, fine, I'm trying my move. But all of a sudden, if you just went a little more than you're trained for. So now as a partner, I'm going to ask you to go for it anyway, so we can get our practice in. Even though you might say, I'm not even going to fall for that, you know. So I just want you to find it. You can walk.
Okay.
Keep going for it. Try and get it. Try and get it. There you go. Right, that's it, and that's all we're doing, just that. Yep. So we'll go the other side this time. Right, yep. And you'll notice how much you end up speeding up, even though we're not starting really high energy. And the way that I'm moving her around is just my hips. Then I'm softening this arm so that my hips can turn without coming into your force. And then I'm offering you the other shiny thing, which you might not have wanted, but all of a sudden now you want it. And then I'm using my hips to lead you beyond. So often in Aikido, what we'd see is this lead followed by this lead, and then you, by the time, you can get down, okay. And then by the time you realize what has happened, I've upended things, right? Okay, so we're gonna try that as partners. Good, so how about Mark and Shannon and Dave and Darcy?
Hurry. Okay.
Yeah, so he ended up going too fast, so you didn't have time to offer the other hand, that's all. But the first one was good. Now,
Actually, I wanna pull.
so just lead him a little bit. Once he has it, now offer
Go
the
up
other
and
one.
over.
Turn. Yeah, and now lead it before he gets it. And you should begin to tune into really where he is, where his mind is, what his rhythm is, what his expectation is. Ultimately, what I want to do is lead his mind. If I lead his mind will move his body, even if it's big and strong. I could have pointed at you. You were right there, but I pointed at somebody else to say big and strong. Sorry. Right, yeah. So watch my hips, right? He's going for the right first. And now I'm turning my hips to bring this hand back in. You're kind of going back like you're going to be handcuffed. So you're kind of jammed up. You're kind of leaning a little.
And I think
So I'm just turning.
So when you have this arm here, this
Mhm.
guy here, you're.
Forget to leave body parts.
Yeah, now just
behind.
soften up your arm, right? So if we go for the first piece, and you start to have this, when I come back, I'm coming into you. So instead, when I turn, I just soften this, so that I didn't fight that, right? It's a simple exercise, right? Which would work if somebody was, same principle, if they were doing something along those lines, or hammer locking in and coming to punch your kidney, same idea. Just moving the hip to move the wrist,
I got
to
two
move his
heads.
mind. Then his mind will move his body. And then also kind of momentum. Whether or not your mind is doing it, you at some point have to go.
I brought you over, there was no bone there.
That's usually in Aikido where she changes the
And I did that to you
direction.
once too, but
And then we don't need your mind anymore, your momentum's going the wrong way, because she just changed it, and that becomes the throw. It looks like the first move on your second hand here is just with
Spaz,
the arm.
Yep.
Instead of 1, 2, 3.
I've done 4 different versions each time. Yeah. Something's coming.
Lead, offer. Yeah, and you just didn't have the timing to do the second lead. So maybe you went too far, you paused, maybe she hurried. I'm not sure.
I'm following my purpose, my arm starting here, and I come all the way
Yeah,
down.
that's it. And then all of a sudden, despite your training and your better, plans, you're out of yourself. You're reaching, you're thinking, man, why is her head's all the way down there? I can headlock her, whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Bench not bending.
Okay, finish up, please.
Nicely done.
So in Aikido, what we will do, I think Darcy was mentioning this earlier, is that you end up, in Aikido, my understanding is that because of the way it's taught, as well as what the art is, you end up rewiring your mind. And I remember my teacher saying that earlier on, and I had been doing martial arts for decades, and I was like, whatever, dude, say whatever you want, show me the stuff. And then my mind got rewired, and I was like, okay, I think I'll just pass that on to students now. And I now can just see a move once, even if it's got 7 circles, and then do it on the other side the first time and not be confused. I can just see it. And I can switch. If you show me a move that has like a Kempo move that has 19 hit, I could just do the mirror side right away. Maybe not well, I'm sure, like there's things to do in the technique you'd have to show me, but I could remember it, I could mirror it, because the brain is shifted. And one of the ways that that happens is in Aikido, when you partner up, simply speaking, when you have one other partner, you do 4 back and forth. So Darcy might grab with her left and grab with her right and grab with her left and right, and then they bow or switch, and Dave would grab with his right and grab with his left. I don't care if you start right or left, but it's left, right, or right, left, left. And this is important. If Dave, for example, goes to grab with his right and he mistakes, he gets the foot wrong or he misses the grab, let me just start that again. Sure, but the other side now. Well, I don't want to do the other side, I almost have that. That's not the art. The art is left, right, or right, left. And that's it. What if at the end of the 4th one, you finally have a beautiful insight into it and you're about to, no, it's your partner's turn. Right? And people will chafe against that because we're Americans, we have freedom. Like, I want to do what I want to do. And it's polite, like, just do one more. Sure, I'm happy to help you, I'm here to help. No. 1, 2, 1, 2, switch, 1, 2, 1, 2. And so I'll say finish up. And if you were on 3, you would finish 3, then do 4, bow, and sit down. If you guys had just started 1, you'd complete the 4, even though I said finish up. Like you finish the 4, that's what I mean by finish up, wherever you are in the 4. And it's interesting because it will feel a little bit kind of rigid or simplistic or maybe pointless. Like, just be polite, give me one more. We go see I totally messed it up. Let me, no, just switch. And then the brain changes because everything it does is this side, that side, this side, that side, and it never doubles up. It just goes with it. And that, when you mess one up in one another, it starts to give you the idea like, okay, let me think this for a second. Let me breathe. Let me not get excited because then I'll miss one. Let me just focus, pay attention, breathe, be present with my partner, and then offer the energy. Right? Question?
Yes, when you
Yeah.
say finish up, and if we started with me and I've done 2 sets, Dave's done 1, but we finish, I mean, do we try to keep the number of sets equal?
Yep.
So it doesn't, it's not just finish the one that you're on, that person. If I was the second person going,
Correct.
I finish then too.
Right. So it's really 8 is the count.
Yeah.
You know, you do 4, he does 4, and that's a pairing, right? All right. So I assume you don't want to stay in Seiza, so just get used to it. It's always right leg first, right? And if you wear a sword once, that'll make sense. You know, so standing up right leg first, and then continue from there. You know? And normally you guys would stay in Seiza, and I show another technique, and we you know get a little bit of practice with that. Let's try this with Tanto. You have your Tanto version? So I'll give you guys, I don't say this normally to a class, but I'll give you the rookie advice. Don't watch this and think, oh, this one's easier, I got it. Because that'll make it harder. It is harder than it looks. Okay, so, Johnsky, good. So, here's the setup. She's going to touch that to my small way back somewhere. Good. Pretty straightforward. Now, if she has it in for me, at this point, and I move, because I have some karate move I'm going to try, that's where it gets pushed into me, right? Now, it may not be pushed into me then because she's evil and cruel. She might be holding a whole lot of fear, which is why she has a knife, because whatever she's trying to get done. I mean, maybe she's just mugging me and she's just evil, I don't know. But once she gets set up with the knife, in proximity, and she's probably said don't move or something like that, she's collapsed down all of her possibilities to, if anything, this. And it's even more so with the finger on the trigger. Somebody coughs and you pull the trigger because you've collapsed all the possibilities of human endeavor and expression into, if anything I don't expect happens, because I have all this fear now. You know, even though you look at it and say she has the knife, she may have all the fear. And so, whatever my plans are for that technique I learned with it, that's probably going to try and go in and maybe, in fact, succeed. So, the practice here is to wait until she starts to press it in. As she presses it in, I turn. Now, what's happened, her energy, you can see, is the same as a punch. She's just extending. And if, as she extends, I'm not there when she expects it, you can see her heel comes up and she's leaning. That's where it becomes very easy for me to do very little energy kind of throws. So, the practice here, so she should switch here. It should be in the left hand, right, left, right. Now, the technique I'm going to show would work either side, so I don't have to know which hands it's in. But for now, what we're going to do, when I feel the pressure, I'm going to rotate. And now, so we're switching because she kept walking, so we'll do the other side. So when she turns, I'm dropping this hand, which is leading her in the direction of the window. And now I'm entering in here. And I give her the thumbs up for her effort, and then lead her around. Like so. Try that again. So I'm entering here, so that's her lead, and I'm stepping towards her lead foot, and my palm on her temple, her cheekbone, and that's helping to lead her. Now, I don't know right now where she's looking. She could be looking up, down, right, left, right. I know she's looking where I'm going, where the knife is. And in fact, I'm kind of heading over there, a little to the left. So I'm going to help her see where she's going. And once I feel that her balance is gone, which you guys can hear, I just suggest the sky. And giving her the sky to consider is enough to upend her. So this can be done even without contact, where I lead her around and lead her out of her stasis, or her equilibrium, I guess I should say. Okay, so you and Mark, Darcy, Shannon, who did we pair up last time?
Yes.
Oh, no, I paired you two last time, natural pair, so 2 ladies and 2 guys this time. Where does Mark go? Do you have your Tonto, Dave?
You know, I believe it's in my truck.
That doesn't help us. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a tool. Ah! I was wondering if you This is just an extendable baton, so no way it doesn't. I mean, it still could, but yeah, it still could, but I don't think it will. Right. Oh, you want to be to the outside for this? And so, if she had ended up on the inside, this technique would work. It's just I'm trying to do it one way for everybody. Lead her. Yep. Yeah, that's a good smile. I'm dizzier than I thought. So do you feel how your hand is a little like a helmet here? Yes. I really want it to be just keeping his ear or cheek to your chest. So,
I feel like I have to stand his head over his whole arm to do it, so it wasn't.
yeah, just
It's
kind
not our
of a
technique.
little lower.
It's
Yeah,
not
whether or
pushing
not
the
it
other
reaches, it doesn't matter, but it looked like your kind of helmet was
First couple of times, you were definitely on the top.
Top,
Yeah.
yeah, which is another one.
We didn't do that.
It's
Oh, I'm
not.
sorry. I'm just so you feel it.
Plus feel how you have a choking thing, but you changed it. So you're gonna end up keeping what in the inside leg, and that leg won't.
I was
move.
extending, I'm getting it further away
What I
from
want
me,
you to
that's why I'm
feel
keeping
is
to the
that you're
center.
bringing her cheek
like the
to your
spokes on
chest,
the wheel.
whether or not it reaches because of her shoulder. So now her view is where you want to lead her. And obviously all kinds of other grips could happen here. I'm just doing the simple with my thumb. And just turn, keep your weight on the right leg, turn to the left and listen to her feet. Look to your left too. Move your mind to move her mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lead you around this time. Okay, we're just jumping into the next. So feel how we're sharing a point of view here. But I'm on the inside of a circle, so it's harder for you when we go. So you will see. So leading, and then just that. Right. So what I noticed is you didn't quite lead him once you got to where you could have led him. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's switch hands, Dave. I'm thinking where Mark is so you can see. So this is pretty good. He's being led a little, but then right away you had this up energy, trying to basically looking for control, right? Which you weren't like really tiger with it, you know. But you basically changed his energy, which is basically towards the gong now, you know, something like that. And you changed it to kind of up. Which if we look at Dave leaning a little, reaching and leaning, this doesn't help him reach and lean. And it takes away his lead. So I want to have this point of connection. See Dave going? And then of course like go in a circle so I don't have to run 10 miles. Like if I go in a circle I can lead him kind of infinitely until I feel like he's done. So see if you can trust the leading. I basically think of it as extruding his mind. Then you guide the whole being. In Aikido, I always want to lead your mind. Your mind will lead your body until there's momentum, and then I usually change direction and the momentum takes over.
Aikido is blending, so you cooperate. Okay.
How are we doing?
Good, I think.
Lead.
Get you a little more comfortable there, Karen. Okay, and then. And then.
Nice start.
Get those directions. Well, look at this. So you can imagine if we were putting shoes. So, okay, come on. And that's me. Yeah, we were, you let me lead him. Without you leading. I think that's hard, it's not, it's being became not doing the rock yourself. You know what I mean? You have one more. Oh, okay.
Finish up. And keep your weight on your left leg, Mark. Only move your right leg. Turn your mind, stand up straight. If you stand up straight, he has to lean. Yeah, now he's starting to go. Yeah. Partly what happened, you had him against here, so he was actually not in the ins. He was, his energy was going out from you instead of around. Whereas if you've been here, if we think about you, even though you're walking around the outside, you'll have to go faster than me, just standing up straight. This isn't too bad. You definitely have to go faster than me. But if we just do this, let's do it static with your right leg forward, like a screenshot of us doing this in a video. If we're doing it this way, that's a whole different challenge for you to walk around. So you'll feel how your body here, and then at that point, I can do all kinds of things. I just happen to let you fall to your back. Good. So one of the cool things that happens is, because of how we stop, sometimes you'll be first, sometimes somebody else will be, but probably half the time in a class of 2 pairs, you'll be able to sit there and just watch the technique and feel it. And then they have to account for you being there, because you're not going to move. So they have to be aware that you are where you are. And sometimes you'll be up there and maybe feel the pressure of being watched.
Into your chest.
Could be. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I have to be.
Yeah? All right, good. So questions? Is it easy for me to just turn into class, do the next technique, and my teacher would have a set number of techniques to run through in the class, and it would just boom, 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 boom. But since it's kind of an intro, anything else that you've always wondered about it, or want to see, or doesn't make any sense, or?
I still have, I mean, we did that in the
Yeah,
applications
that's the
class,
same
so
kind
I'm
of,
familiar
that
with
same
it.
kind of thing, yeah.
I had the same issue of trying to keep my weight on that inside foot,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and that's just a practice thing. It's so easy. Once you shift a different direction, you're sending them radially, and then now you're pulling on them or you can't pull, and they slip off. So they have a non-infinite bit of influence from you. If I'm leading them on the circumference of a circle, you have essentially infinite influence until they stagger and they have to fall. Right?
I don't know if this video is online, but I joined Duran for this lesson with you one morning.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think you filmed it.
Yeah, I don't remember if we did, I don't recall. So, nothing else that comes to mind? We got a few more minutes, I'm gonna do another thing, but I just wanna see where you're at. Yeah, okay, so, let me borrow you for this one. Nice, good.
Slow learn.
So this is gonna be from Hantai, or a cross-wrist grab, and there's a bunch of different things I wanna get done here, but one is using my body to lead him. So this is the lead that I want to achieve here. I think we're all pretty clear, because of the martial arts we've studied, that this is not this. It's my hips turning and then leading. And really, in theory, what happens is, as he goes to grab, that's the energy that I'm leading. His reach, his lean. Which means, if we're doing that earlier one, it could be the same kind of thing where I lead him a little bit so he overshoots, even though he's going to end up getting it, that's fine. And come on around. Right. So what I've achieved there is the lead, even though I haven't kept him from grabbing me. I may in fact want him to grab me. So as he grabs, that's probably what's happening, is that I'm leading him there. So it's easier to practice it static so that we don't have to coordinate those timings and have you stumble out of the way while I'm trying to puzzle it out. But then it's harder for us to feel like there's any flow. So to establish that flow, we want to just make sure our partner isn't saying, okay, I got it. And we've all been there in self-defense. You know, well, I will soften you up in some arts to prove my point. And here I wouldn't soften you up. I just get the timing better, like that. Okay, so of course we'll switch sides. So we have this Aihami footwork, this harmonized, balanced, matching footwork. And I'm leading him, notice my thumb. I'm leading him, and then I'm thumbs down position. So my palm on his wristwatch clasp, or in that direction. So leading, and then thumbs up. If we look at just the grab, he's probably grabbing me, and then he's going to slug me, or whatever, right? It stands to reason. If I lead him here, it's much harder for him to slug me. But maybe he's going to try and step into me or kick or start to, it's not the worst thing in this position. But as I lead him here, once I turn his thumb down, my thumb down, that starts to be not a fun position for you. in terms of all of your other tools. And often what we'll do is we'll just wait until he decides the next thing he wants to try. And then we'll lead that. So like the methodology is to lead him into when he decides to do a spinning move, right? So he does his spinning back fist or elbow or whatever. Try and use your other hand. When you feel like, hey, that's not working, no. See, you're thinking, feel. Feel, there'll be a natural, hey,
There it is.
yeah, right. So we might very well lead this energy until he starts to feel like he has his own control. And again, I've led his mind. I gave him the opportunity to invent that move. And in fact, it might have been what I wanted. So what we're going to practice instead of that complicated piece is to lead him and then thumbs down. So it kind of leads his elbow across his belly. Okay? From here, one piece of footwork. I don't want to have you too bent in the arm. It's healthier for you. One footwork. My inside leg. Full step. Right? And then it becomes a very easy thing, and you'll notice how little effort I'll do when you fall. I'm going to shift towards the camera, and then sink a tiny bit. Shift, and sink. And you will be convinced that I did some crunching, dim mock, leverage, and you can feel like I basically just fixed your hair, like very, very, very light. Right. You have to go. Good. So, matched foot, lead, down. Very easy for him to spin under here. And it's very easy for him to feel this and do a bicep curl. I can still throw him and make it work, it's just less healthy for him. So we're looking for a relatively open arm. Does that make sense? Right. Now I can ruin that by over twisting this, and he kind of has to. So I just want to be aware that this is like this. One step. My weight's on the rear leg. This foot's pointing where he's going to get thrown. His wrist is near his shoulder. My wrist is near his shoulder, maybe touching. My arm's energized. I just shift and sink. Well, that's all I have to do. Okay. Normally I do 4, but I don't want to run out of time. So, who does that leave? Mark and Darcy and Dave and Shannon. Good. This will be a lot harder for you on somebody shorter than you.
Everybody's
But
shorter.
it'll be easier for her on you. So.
You want short stuff?
Yeah, that stays out. Once a weapon's out, it stays out. It's another thing for you to.
Watch out for weaponry.
It's another thing to move around and be aware of.
Because you're the person, you should be the one to take some, anyway, on first. Oh, you were doing it to Steve, I'm sorry, I'm just going back and forth.
Should I get again close up? So we match footwork, because I was leading her.
So you, and what you were doing was.
So you can go with it if you want. And now I'm thumbs down. So you're in this, twisted wrist throw position that you're used to seeing. Something like that. You'll do what we. You need to see it again?
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing, I was just getting it done.
Do you want to see it on you or on him? What would help?
You need to get me to move over there.
Do it on me, so Mark can see it.
There you go.
Hot touch, grab. Lead. And then thumbs down. That's where taking extra steps doesn't help anybody, but you didn't, you stopped yourself. Now I
Only
said,
gonna make a couple of years.
Doc?
0 for 4.
I'll try and get you a better partnership. Hang on. If you can do it with Dave, as we say at Sunday Farm, you can do it with me.
I know, but I'm not sure if it's,
So no stepping here. You're doing it for Dave, is that right?
Yeah.
You're leading him here. So right now the threat is his left arm, his left side. If you lead him here, you can begin to turn it. Now, keep the grip you have and thumbs down in the direction of mark. So this is where, Dave, if you do a bicep curl, it makes it harder for you. Yep. So yeah, so this is the control that you want.
Guest, right?
Yeah, and just kind of lead her around. She'll start to back up this way. That's it. Now if she overspin, hang on. Stop, rewind.
It's just that the
You added more, you gotta spin the other way. Yeah, there you go, good. So this is where you start to do a bicep curl in defense. You wanna end up here, because you did an extra turn and shift, yeah. And now enter with your left leg. That should connect to her shoulder, and that should be like that. Right. Now the reason she didn't fall so easily is she took an extra step while you guys were figuring it out. So you would have had to take a step.
right.
I don't want you
no
to.
mat
Yeah,
there,
right.
so.
I can move her and that's it, and everything turns to,
Yep, let me show you again.
don't let go.
So she's got this, I'm leading her here, and now I'm here. And now her weapons, her facing, her sense tools are generally directing that way, basically I'm behind her. Not unlike where we were a few minutes ago here. Now the challenge on this move is I need to keep a sense of the direction of her motion, even though I'm changing my direction and I'm spinning myself. You should feel throughout a continuous leading in a curve. Even though I change direction, you should feel hesitation, loss of power, too much power, fighting me at some point. So even though I'm leading through this thing and I'm turning and stepping, you're just on a roller coaster that's a set pace and rhythm. Which is a real challenge on a move like
I
this.
haven't gotten her there yet.
I think is we do practice and handholds every time, but it's hard when it's the other person. And that's what we were doing, is by getting to, again, that's something.
Yeah, my job.
And then, I mean, I can already see from there, but if I'm like this and it's not something, this is, that's the thing. Really interesting. I don't think this is.
Okay, finish up.
Don't let go.
You come forward, you won't be in the way of that knife. So when you watch that, oh, it looks pretty easy. But it is in fact simple. I'm just leading her, I'm turning her body, in this case, to turn her mind. But while that happens, I'm keeping in mind very clearly the direction I've been leading her wrists the whole time. And if we can do all those things, which in Aikido, I enter, I connect, I lead. That's what I'm doing. That's like the algorithm, simply speaking. Just I'm entering, no hesitation. I connect, so not blocking, could be connecting too, but I'm connecting in a harmonized way. And then from that connection, I'm leading. And I'm leading the mind. I may lead the body in order to lead the mind. I may lead the mind in order to lead the body, but ultimately the mind is something that gets led. And while that happens, I'm keeping in my mind a sense of your energetic path. My teacher would say, as soon as your uke stops, the person that's offering the initial energy that's probably getting thrown, if that person stops, there's no more Aikido. Aikido doesn't happen if somebody's not moving. It's about moving your movement. It's about leading your movement. Much like that, that parked car being steered. Once it starts rolling a little, then it can be steered. If it's not moving, there's no Aikido. I mean, you could start hitting and punching, I guess. It's just a different thing that you would do then. And so often in Aikido, I'm allowing you to do the movement, or I'm baiting you to do a movement so that I can lead something. And if I can pay attention to your mind, I won't pull things away too fast where you'll just change your mind, because that's not working. let it almost be working for you so that you get overly connected to something, right? If you can, this is what happens to gamblers, right? They get close to the big win, and then what do? They put more of their money down. They overcommit. Once they're overcommitted, it's very easy to upset them, right? So that's just a little intro to Aikido. Any last questions? Okay. So to finish, we'll bow again to the sensei. Thank you. Heights. Darcy will show you what we're doing.
Next, we do this at the same time I'm doing it, but we go up to the center or to a spot, sit down. Go ahead. Called the knee walk, and I don't have it down yet.
Shiko.
And usually in a circle, but that's okay. And in this school, we, by tradition, say, "Are you Darcy?"
Shannon.
David, Mark.
And we just see if there's anything we wanted to touch with each other about, or if there's any announcements. And then it's the Aikido class's job to clean the studio. So today, we'll just wipe down the mats with the clean pads and sweep. And
Yeah.
is that,
Well, the
I'm
next class
looking-
is starting, so we'll probably do a cursory version.
Okay. Okay, any announcements from you, Steve?
Don't have that?
Aikido class is on Tuesday at 5:30, we put down the mats and start, and it's awesome.
Class is at 6.
Class is at 6,
And
6
school's
or 7,
open at 5:30.
exactly, and it's incredible. Really is a good class.
Thank you.
I guess one more thing, and I should have said it before you go, we were just practicing last week, or the other day. Left hand, right hand, down, right,